All right, number two are two inequalities. So basically, same game plan as inequalities as equations. We want to collect the variables on one side. So before we start using the properties of inequality to make things zero on one side, we want to distribute here to simplify this, giving us 28 minus 12x is greater than 6x minus 9. Now, now we want to begin to collect variables on one side and constant terms on another. So let's begin by adding 12x to both sides and adding 9 to both sides. So you can bring down the inequality. It stays the same since we didn't multiply or divide by a negative. We get 18x is less than 27. So now if we divide by 18, both sides, one each other, we're left with all real numbers less than, and again, in the last problem, we simplified 27/18 to 3 halves. So all real numbers less than 3 halves, or all real numbers less than 1.5 or 1.5. So we're just going to move all of this over so that we could graph it. Remember, our solution was all real numbers less than 1.5 or 1.5. So on my number line here, I'm going to take advantage of space. I'm going to call this 0. I'm going to call this 1. I'm going to call this 2. And I'm going to call this 3. So our reference point is 1.5. It's right here. I'm going to circle it, and I'm going to shade in everything less than that, because this is all real numbers less than 1.5. The chupacabra, or Pac-Man, eats the 1.5, and the x is less than that. All the real numbers are less than that. So let's go ahead and shade that in. I'm going to shade in everything to the left, and we are not going to fill in the bubble because it is a less than sign or a greater than sign. It's not a less than or equal to sign. So leave the bubble open. Now on the right hand side we have what's called the compound inequality. Okay. Now what we're going to do here is when we isolate the variable which is in the middle, whatever we do to the middle we have to do to both sides. So when you add a 3 here, I'm going to put 2 lines down, one at both the inequality sign, and what you do in the middle you have to do to both sides. So I'm going to add 3 in the middle, add 3 in the left, and add 3 in the right. And I'm going to bring those signs straight down because I did not multiply or divide by a negative. So I have x divided by 4, and on the right hand side 5 plus 3 is 8. Left hand side -1 plus 3 is positive 2. Now, what's being done to the variables is being divided by 4. The opposite of divide by 4 is multiply by 4. So if I times 4, I'm going to line down at both inequalities, line across. To undo that, I'm just going to be left with an x in the middle. But I have to multiply by 4 on all sides of the inequality. Each section of this compound inequality has to be multiplied by 4. So 8 times 4 is 32, and 2 times 4 is 8. So our solution is all real numbers greater than or equal to 8 and less than 32. So our number line is going to have to include both of these reference points somehow. So let's put an 8 right here. 8. Now let's count to 10 to make sure we get there. 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, right there. Now let's put a little circle here at the 8. and a circle here at the 32. So we're all the real numbers greater than or equal to 8. So we're going to go ahead and shade this in because it's or equal to, and go to the right, and less than 32. We're not going to shade in the 32 because it's just less than. So it's this area right here. All right, so there's our inequality, and there's our graph in the number line.